Busy, 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 busy. The grind never stops. I tell y'all, doing all these in quick succession, these don't tire me out at all. Don't worry about like me doing a whole bunch all at once. I never get tired from this. It is so it's pretty much effortless for me to do this. So I enjoy doing this every single time. But let's go ahead and get started with today's chapter, shall we? Yo, peoples! Kyushu92 here, back again with my third chapter reaction for today with JUJUTSU Kaisen. Last we left off, Yuki Tsukumo and Choso were facing off against Kenjaku, and every attempt they tried to use against him, it kept failing until it got to a point where Yuki Tsukumo was clashing with Kenjaku, and in an instant when he's blocking one of her attacks, a mini maximum Uzumaki appears over his hand, which blasts Yuki Tsukumo in the face. And while she's bracing from this attack, Kenjaku causes another maximum Uzumaki to appear at her midsection, and in an instant, he takes advantage of this distraction and blasts a hole straight through Yuki Tsukumo. And that was the last chapter we got. So let's move on to chapter 208. Chapter 208, Stars and Oil Part 4. With Choso screaming, "Tsukumo!" And then it cuts to Yuki Tsukumo, who's still glaring at him, even though with a massive hole in her midsection. Thinking, oh, also, Nico, let me just say this. Happy holidays to everyone. Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Hanukkah to everyone. If you celebrate it, just want to say that y'all have already given me my gift for this Christmas. And that is just y'all enjoying yourselves, enjoying life, whether you're here on this channel or you're elsewhere. As long as you're enjoying life, you've already given me my Christmas gift. And I mean, I do this for a living, so that's a gift in and of itself. That's a Christmas gift that just never ends. So I'm just incredibly blessed to be able to do this for all of you. But Nico, good to see you. Hope all is well with you. But it cuts to Yuki going, "He wasn't biding time for a gravity technique. It was to distract me from the small Uzumaki, leaving me no time for regeneration." And then it cuts to Kenjaku, who puts his hand up in front of Yuki. And then it cuts to a bar. Like, Tengen has pretty much changed the environment. Sorry, the family's on the outside of my door right now. But it cuts to Choso and Yuki inside of a bar that I believe Tengen has pretty much made, where it goes to, I guess this is Tengen, or this is Yuki going, "Aren't you necessary for Yuji Itadori's future?" "What do you mean?" "Exactly what I said. You're risking yourself for his future, so don't you want to be there for him?" And mind you, both Choso and Yuki are in some fancy-looking clothes to be in this bar. So I guess this is Tengen just changing this whole entire appearance of everything. And not just the place, but also the clothes they're wearing. And Tengen is literally the barkeeper, just shaking up a drink that they're drinking, like he's making martinis for both Yuki and Choso. "Exactly what I said. You're risking yourself for his future, so don't you want to be there for him?" Tsukumo, am I even human?" And then Yuki just looks at him. "When my younger brothers took flesh, I realized that humans cannot accept their deformed appearance. So I chose to live as a curse. That's why I killed so many in Shibuya, and not just humans. I was the one who killed Kechizu and Eso. So if I had chosen to live as a human, it wouldn't have come to that." "Why? Why at that time?" "Why? Why at that time? Why did I choose the easy path. And then it cuts to Choso, who's just crying to himself, just lamenting at his own actions. I didn't want to see the two of them suffer as human beings, but they weren't that weak. And then Yuji, who was suffering as a human, showed up. The four of us were fated to fight together. But I took it easy and left Yuji all alone. If you die now, he'll be alone again. Tsukumo, you're too kind. But it's no use. I killed humans for no good reason. I can no longer live alongside him. This is the only way for me to use my life. And then it cuts to Choso, who starts building up a whole bunch of blood in his hands, almost like a Destructo Disc type shape, and goes, Right here! Noritoshi Kamo! Choso, this is where you died. This is where you died as a curse. And then it cuts to Choso opening his eyes, and then the ground beneath him giving way, as Yuki continues going, So, you must live. Tengen, why? This time, as a human. And apparently this was planned. Choso falls through the floor, leaving Tsukumo with Kenjaku. And then it cuts to Kenjaku, who uses the full might of his gravity quirk and crushes Yuki Tsukumo completely. He crushes Yuki so much that he crushed her in half. Like she already had a hole through her midsection, but with this gravity quirk, he basically just sliced her in half. Her legs are over here, and her upper body is over in another location. And then it cuts to Kenjaku as he goes, But what can you do now, Tengen? As Tengen is standing in front of him. Hold on. Sorry, Denim was very adamant that he needed to be heard while I was going through this, so he'll be fine. But Kenjaku's standing there in front of the dismembered body of Yuki as he goes, But what can you do now, Tengen? And then Tengen just stands there. And then Kenjaku looks at him and starts laughing. Why do you laugh? Just look at you. Is this what you wanted? You look like... And then it cuts to... apparently an old version of Sukuna in a previous vessel. Yeah, this looks like Sukuna because he's got the additional eyes and the markings and then the shoulder markings all over his body. So he's saying that Tengen looks like an old version of Sukuna back in the day. You want to know what I can do? And then all of a sudden, Kenjaku's leg gets grabbed by Yuki, whose upper body is still moving. I just needed to distract you. As Yuki grips onto him, as Kenjaku goes, Die already, as a human. But then all of a sudden, Kenjaku's body starts to get affected by gravity. Well, not gravity, but by mass. What? Star Rage's alterations in mass don't affect me, but only up to a certain density. Density? If there's no limit to the mass she can add. Impossible! A black hole? And it looks like Yuki Tsukumo is creating a black hole effect that is dragging Kenjaku in. A black hole? Black holes possess extreme density and immense gravity. Neither matter nor even light can escape. In terms of density, imagine the Earth shrunk into a diameter of 2 centimeters. And then it cuts to Kenjaku literally being dragged in as if he's being pulled towards a black hole towards Yuki. You wield gravity. So you should have seen this coming, right? Gravity, mass, time. They all deserve the utmost caution. And then the entire area where they are just gets pulled towards this singularity that Yuki is creating. She's creating a singularity that is dragging the entire environment towards them. The entire star corridor location is just being pulled to the epicenter of essentially the center of a black hole. A black hole, really. It's a black hole that's basically formed right where Yuki is. And then it shows the sky. And then it shows ruins as everything is, a whole bunch is just destroyed. Then it shows a rock and boulder moving, and then it's still Kenjaku. He's still fine. This man survived being pulled into a literal black hole itself, and he's still fine. How is this man surviving everything? This man has survived everything thrown at him. You mean to tell me that a black hole, a literal black hole in his face, is not enough to stop him? Whew. I admit I'm impressed. And then it cuts to Tengen. How did you survive? Curse technique reversal? No, the gravity until now was curse technique reversal. The curse technique anti-gravity system was engraved in Kaori Itadori. What? Wait. So, the woman that is Yuji's mom, which is the body that Kenjaku inhabited, she already had a curse technique called anti-gravity system. So she already had a curse technique that was engraved in her, and it's anti-gravity. He basically has the ability of anti-gravity systems, but then he says, the curse technique anti-gravity system was engraved in Kaori Itadori. Through lapse, I was able to avoid restrictions on unused unstable output and activation time by using my own body as a domain. That was frightening, but I took a gamble and it worked. It could have blown up the whole world, but your barrier and her will suppressed it, so I have you to thank. Well, that was a fun warm-up. You have atoned for your tedious existence. Goodbye, old friend. As it cuts to what appears to be Tengen, suddenly starting to fade away, and then apparently we see the real Tengen as his body is in the center of the tree that is where Tengen normally resides. And it shows like this old decrepit body of Tengen as well. Kenjaku's made it. Kenjaku is he's made it to Tengen now. And Yuki's gone. Like how? Capri! Or is it Capri or Chapri? Chapri from Chapra! Good to see you, but it's just like nothing that's been used against Kenjaku has worked. This man has just survived a literal black hole singularity, which nothing in existence is capable of escaping. At least what we as humans have seen in space, black holes are absolute. You cannot escape a black hole. Not even light itself can escape a black hole. That's just how dangerous an actual black hole is. But this man just survived a literal black hole. And it was all like, I use anti-gravity at the last second and use my own body as a domain to go past the limits of my own power, and that's pretty much it. And I'm like, huh? How? How did you survive a literal black hole? So let me go back to the actual page itself. Hopefully they're written down in it a little bit more. Nope, no more details. Dang! I was hoping that I would be able to read through everything. But at least we finally get a name for the gravity technique that he has, which was stolen from Yuji's mom. Basically, the body he took over when her had Yuji. So now we know the name of his technique. Like, dang, I gotta wait for them to fully write this thing out so I can look at all the finite details. But Kenjaku is basically one against Yuki, because Yuki is nowhere to be seen in all this aftermath. This black hole was enough to rip the entire star corridor chamber down to its almost foundation, down to the tree where Kenjaku currently resides. Like his real body. Where his real body currently resides. And Choso got pulled through the floor when Tengen shifted the entire location, but we don't know where Choso is. But Yuki's not there at all. Like, she pretty much caused herself to be the black hole itself, so I doubt her body is still around. I doubt her body is still around after turning herself into an actual black hole, so I doubt her body's still there. But in this last-ditch effort, he uses his own body as a domain to amplify the effectiveness of anti-gravity systems so he could survive. Now, mind you, his entire upper torso got hit with this attack, and his hair is loosened, and he's got scratches all over himself, and his whole upper body is just pretty much bare now. Like, the clothes he had on the top of himself, they've all been completely destroyed. But Yuki's gone. I believe in this last-ditch effort, she gave her life, or at least what was left of her life, in a last-ditch effort to turn into a black hole, a literal black hole, to take down Kenjaku, but he's still not down. Every single time we see someone try to do something against Kenjaku, he keeps surviving all of it. Every single time. Every time. He's got like a technique or something or other that works on literally everyone. And when you think about it, it kind of doesn't surprise me that this man is completely prepared for basically anything, because he's fought users of the Six Eyes and the Limitless on a regular basis. It's just that Satoru Gojo was the first one that he's come across in 100 years that has both the Six Eyes and the Limitless both. And he's so powerful that he had to seal Gojo rather than attempt to kill him. Because he's killed every single user of the Six Eyes that was ever born, and did his best to keep it out of his hair and try and snuff it out. And I remember I said that he even killed a baby when it was 6 months. No, he took out a baby that had the Six Eyes when it was 1 month old. That's how adamant he is about making sure the Six Eyes doesn't get in his way. Satoru Gojo comes along, and he's literally a god among men, so the only way you could deal with him is just sealing him. But over the course of dealing with users of the Six Eyes, I'd imagine he learned how to have backup plans and backup curse techniques that he could use against basically anyone. Not just users of the Six Eyes and Limitless, but also basically any curse user as well. Because the dude has been alive for like centuries upon centuries. He's been around since curse were... How long has Kenjaku been around? Hold on, let me look into this. How long has he been around? He's over 1,000 years old. Yes. Ancient sorcerer who pursues the goal of evolving humanity via cursed energy, thereby ushering in a new golden age of jutsu sorcery, paralleling the Heian era. Now, if I go look up the Heian era, it is a period in Japanese history when the Chinese influences were in decline and the national culture matured. So the Heian period is the last division of classical Japanese history, running from 794 to 1185. So the Heian period ran from 794 AD to 1185. This man has been alive for so many centuries. So I'd imagine he'd have a curse technique that was ready for basically everything. But the fact that this man has a curse technique and is smart enough to realize that, hey, if I use my body as a domain to enhance this anti-gravity systems that comes from Yuji's mom, no less, He has a gravity quirk from Yuji's mom. Even though he also was Yuji's mom, it's a weird thing. It's a weird thing to think about. The fact that Kenjaku and Yuji's mom are one and the same. It's still something I still got to wrap my head around. But the fact that she had a quirk engraved on her that allowed her to use anti-gravity, he basically used that gravity to not only split Yuki Tsukumo in half and completely bisect her at the waist, but also used it by creating a domain with his body, like I said before. And, like, let me go over to when he described this, because this is something I really like reading. He says, the curse technique anti-gravity systems was engraved in Kaori Itadori. Through lapse, I was able to avoid restrictions on unstable output and activation time by using my own body as a domain. So he basically, through lapse, he was able to avoid restrictions on the unstable output of using anti-gravity systems beyond its intended limits and its activation time in order to avoid being pulled into this black hole that Yuki created. So this just goes to show you just how much Kenjaku thinks everything out. But now we're left here as Kenjaku descends upon the non-moving real body of Tengen, which is laying up in the roots of this massive tree that we saw in the Star Corridor itself. Kenjaku is right there in front of Tengen, and there's no one there to stop him. And the thing is, all of us saw this coming. None of us thought that he was going to be taken down by Yuki and Choso. Because of all the stuff that he's been doing, all of us did not think that he was just going to be beaten by Yuki and Choso, and that'd be that. And then we have nothing else to worry about except erasing the culling game, and then that'd be the end of that. No. But the fact that this man has a plan for everything, and he's managed to succeed in every attempt to get rid of opposition around him, about the only person that is left to oppose him that's nearby, possibly, is Choso, and we have no idea where Tengen put him. So that he's like the last line of defense before Kenjaku can actually physically touch Tengen. Because if he touches him, and he turns him into an orb, and then he eats him, he's going to gain all of Tengen's abilities. And just to give you a rough idea of how much of a threat this actually is, if I go over to Tengen, where is it? If I pull up Tengen and his abilities, and go down to, there it is. All right, Master Tengen is viewed as an immortal entity and a pillar of security within the Jujutsu community, not a fighter who interacts with the everyday functions of the world. Tengen's abilities are essential to the structure or organization of the Jujutsu world. Not Jujutsu world in Japan, but just the Jujutsu world itself. They have existed for centuries and are responsible for teaching the foundations of Jujutsu that eventually evolved into the modern-day culture surrounding sorcery. Master Tengen is the most powerful barrier user among all Jujutsu sorcerers. They're responsible for the barriers protecting both main campuses of Jujutsu High. Their barrier also strengthens barrier techniques used by school managers, amplifying their ability to cast curtains. It was thought that Tengen could pose a potential threat to humanity if they evolved. However, since failing to merge with the Star Plasma vessel, Tengen's sense of self diminished, but they have been able to maintain their awareness with Jujutsu and force of will. So, the abilities that Tengen has is just basically straight up immortality. Like, immortality grants Tengen eternal life, just as the name implies. It does not stop them from aging, so their body and technique must be reset every 500 years. In 2006, Tengen failed to merge with the Star Plasma vessel and has evolved into more of a cursed spirit than a human. which is exactly what Kenjaku needs to gain his control. They have maintained their self-awareness, but their very self has become the world in a sense. So if Kenjaku gets control of Tengen, he gets control of the world in a sense. I know I'm droning on here. I'm just going to tie it up here. Jujutsu High Barriers. Master Tengen maintains the barriers protecting the two Jujutsu schools and strengthens the techniques of the auxiliary managers at the same time. Tengen's technique changes the school building's appearances every day to effectively hide their existence from the public. The barrier is made for hiding rather than protecting from infiltration. As long as someone knows the location of the school beforehand, the barrier is not difficult to get through. And then concealing barriers. The entrance to the Tomb of the Star corridor is protected by a barrier that manipulates over 1,000 shuffling doors. The entrance is constantly changing while only one door is connected to the pathway leading to the tombs. On that same pathway is Jujutsu High's cursed warehouse that stores cursed tools and cursed objects. Master Tengen's shrine itself is the base of all their barriers around Japan. The shrine is protected by a different barrier altogether that only allows those invited to enter. So he has absolute control over barrier techniques, the highest form barrier user in all of Jujutsu, but also the fact that his existence is pretty much tied with the world itself. Yo, D-Train, yo, Captain and Nakamas. Just wanted to wish you all a Merry Christmas. Hope you all have a blessed and wonderful day. The same to you, D-Train. The same to you as well. Once we're done with Christmas, it's back to business as usual, and I gotta really pick up with Marvel's Midnight Suns before January gets in full swing, so that way I can play Forspoken afterwards. But Merry Christmas to you too. But things do not look good. Why do things keep going from bad to worse? Because the last words we get from Kenjaku is goodbye, friend. So I wonder if Tengen, who Tengen was in the earliest days of Jujutsu, he knew Kenjaku. I wonder if he knew Kenjaku personally. Because why would Kenjaku call Tengen friend here? Goodbye, friend. You have atoned for your tedious existence. Goodbye, friend. I don't know. Every single time it seems like things can't get any worse. They do, in fact, get worse. Because now we've lost. It seems like we've lost a special grade Jujutsu sorcerer. We've just lost. It seems like we lost Yuki Tsukumo. We don't see her body anywhere, so you could say like her fate is unknown. But I don't know many things to survive the epicenter of a black hole, so I don't know. Yuki Tsukumo's body is unaccounted for, even though it's been separated through the middle, so either she bleeds out or she was taken out by her own black hole in an attempt to take out Kenjaku as well, or she's strangely alive using reverse curse technique to weirdly heal herself. I don't know. And Choso is unaccounted for as well, so there's that. And then we got Yuji and the gang and pretty much everyone else who's doing whatever they're doing outside of this whole fight that's been focused on Kenjaku for the past 5-6 chapters lately. It's been a minute, but we're just going to have to wait and see where the Jujutsu world is next year. This is the last time I'm going to be reading manga this year, outside of One Punch Man if it happens to release a chapter on Wednesday. But this will be the last time I read One Piece, My Hero Academia, Jujutsu Kaisen, and the beginning after the end in the year 2022. To everyone here, I will give my last goodbyes, and I'll say my last things I want to say in a separate stream. I got 2 streams planned for this Saturday. One for One Piece Reflections, and another where we just talk about all the things that happened this year and what I intend to do for you guys this upcoming year in 2023, which ought to be extremely fun, game-wise, stream-wise, content-wise, and the fact that I'm going to be still doing this as my full-time job. I just want to say thank you for giving me the opportunity. You guys have made me doing this full-time so worthwhile. It has been an absolute joy to get in front of this camera, to get in front of this mic, and just do the things I love to do for all of you to enjoy. It's an honor and a blessing. But like I said, I'll give my heartfelt speeches when the time is right. Overall, this was an interesting chapter of Jujutsu, but it's just got me scratching my head, wondering where are we going to come from when we come out of this big break that we're in right now. We're in a 12-day break, not 14 days, but 12-day break. So we're just going to have to see where we go from here. So yeah, that's an interesting way to steer us in a direction where it seems like there is absolutely no hope left. But yeah, you guys let me know what you thought of this chapter as a whole. All I can say at the end of the day is, hope you all enjoyed. Can't wait to see you all in my next video. And if you're new to the channel and you enjoyed what you saw here today, then like, subscribe, share with everyone you know, because the more the merrier. And maybe even consider becoming a member, because I am always looking forward to entertaining you. So have a fantastic day, and once again, as always, later, peoples.